Joining me now is media writer for The Australian, Sophie Ellsworth, and royal expert and journalist Pandora Forsyth. Ladies, Pandora, 6 years after the Sussexes were married, and expectation and reality couldn't have been further apart. Is that right?
Yeah, you're quite right there. I think people are very confused about their brand at the moment. We've obviously had them saying they want a private life, and I think people respected that, regardless of the fact that they might have been disappointed that they've stepped down from the royal family in a working capacity. But since then, we've had interviews, we've had books, we've had Netflix deals, which of course there's the argument to be financially independent off the back of it, but also slamming the royal family at the same time. And now, of course, we've had this royal tour to Nigeria, which many people have thought was a success in many ways, but also begs the question, well, if you didn't want to be doing this, then why did you step down from the royal family, as it had all of the elements of what a royal tour had had? So again, there's just a massive question mark over Harry and Meghan at the moment.
And Sophie, the media were captured by Harry and Meghan from the get-go, and in a positive way, to be fair. But it seems almost everyone is struggling to find the good, authentic news story about this couple.
Well, Caroline, they were the hottest thing in town when they hit centre stage. And they had positive press, endless positive press. But we're 6 years down the track, and what a disaster it's been. I mean, their modus operandi has been to trash the royal family. Their business model since they moved to America has been basically, let's bring down the royal family and make money out of it. They are so out of touch. They are, people have just turned their backs on them, not only in the UK, but even here in Australia. So the damage is done. They are damaged goods, in my view, and they won't be able to make a comeback. Even if they do try and do that, I think they're so far down the road of being disliked, it's almost impossible to turn things around now.
And Pandora, the dramas just seem to continue. So can you tell us about this issue with the Archewell Foundation, which hit the news in a really big way this week?
Yeah, so the Archewell Foundation was set up when Harry and Meghan left the UK to go to California. And a lot of their charity work is through this foundation. Now, this week, it was public knowledge, as it's on public record. For them, unfortunately, they were handed a delinquency notice. This is due to the fact that a cheque apparently had gone missing in the post or wasn't delivered. And this was on public record and hit all of the headlines. This is now apparently being cleared up, and a new cheque has been sent in the post. But this is not the press that they need off the back of the Nigeria tour, and they just don't seem to have the luck, unfortunately. But you would think for something of such a foundation which is set up in such a public domain, you would think something like this just should not be happening, whether that be careering the cheque if possible, but leaving it just a post to hope that it's going to get there on time. It's not a good look. But apparently now it has been sorted, and the governor of California has said that it was all a bit of a technical mishap and people need to move on.
Speaking of which, Sophie, and off the back of what Pandora said, the criticism of the Sussexes' visit to Nigeria, that does continue. We understand the royal family were very unhappy with the royal veneer of that trip. Is that correct?
Well, that's what the reports are saying, Caroline, that they were deeply unhappy with this trip to Nigeria that looked like, sounded like, it felt like a royal tour. And they are no longer royals. So they're carrying on as if they are still well and truly part of the royal family. And this is definitely getting people offside. They were touring around Nigeria, visiting charities and schools and so forth, injured servicemen. And this is really making it a mixed message as to what they are actually trying to achieve. They want one foot in the royal camp, but they want one foot out of it as well. And you can't have it both ways.
No, I think that's right. And Pandora, do you think this is intentional on the part of the Sussexes, or are they just doing what they know as part of their own brand?
Look, we know that Harry has always worked with injured servicemen after his time in the military, and I think we've got to be fair on that point. And they have always actually worked, both of them individually, with charities over time. So fine. But this is a little bit of a slap in the face for the royal family, because they said that they wanted a private life and they wanted to be getting on with their own things. Whereas a royal tour, they essentially just did one without the royal status attached to it and created headlines all around the world. So many people might see it as a missed opportunity, but many people also see it as a dig at the royal family. And I'm not saying that the work that they did there wasn't brilliant, because in many aspects it was. But what do they actually want to achieve by this? Is it the fact that they want to carry on doing royal work without having to actually be working royals and be in the UK and actually, being able to carry on with that work as a royal family member? Or do they want the benefits of living in California, having the independence to carry on with those Netflix deals and those Spotify deals and the book deals, etc., etc.? What do they actually want here? And is it opening a door for the royal family again, or are they just going to slam it shut?
And interestingly, Sophie, there are also reports that the Sussexes were flown to Nigeria for free by an airline company boss who was a wanted fugitive in the US. Now, is that right? And if so, is this more of that potential brand damages that the Sussexes really don't need?
Well, look, Caroline, we don't know for sure if this report, if they were aware of this actually involvement with the airline and these alleged fraud allegations by one of their bosses. So we need to give them the benefit of the doubt here. But this, again, is something that surely Harry and Meghan's people, should I say, should have checked out before they jumped on this plane. And let's get to the point about the hypocrisy of them taking private planes around. This is not a good look for them, and it could backfire badly. So they need to be more careful with who they're getting involved with, because everyone is watching what they're doing very closely, because they are, always, virtue signalling and telling people how to live their lives. They need to be careful who they associate with. And if they appear to be associating with people who are, alleged fraudsters, this can be very damaging for them.
Absolutely, Sophie. And how many times has this private jet issue been raised? And for some reason, they continue to do it, almost as if they're ignoring it entirely. I find it absolutely astonishing. But there's also this week an interesting piece in The Telegraph from Petronella Wyatt, and it's titled, "It's Time to Bring Harry Home." Now, Pandora, what was the main argument here? Do you think it has merit?
Yeah, she went on to say in this Telegraph piece that it was for family and for country, and that the brothers should have a reconciliation. Well, look, I think we've all been wanting that for many years, and I think that would be great if we could all get along and be happy families. But are we completely forgetting everything which Harry and Meghan have done, not only directly about royal family members, but also loved ones of the royal family as well, and the monarchy itself? I think there's so much more that needs to be done in conversations. And Harry was in London and didn't even see his brother, or quite frankly, his sister-in-law, or his father. So yes, wouldn't it be great if we could all get along and it would all be absolutely fine? But I think in reality, is this ever going to happen? And how can they trust Harry and Meghan again to know that they're not going to step back from royal duties and cause upset and cause further upset as well to Charles, our king now? We just can't risk that. And I think this is the issue, is trust here. And will they ever be able to build back up that trust? Well, I just don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately, and that's the brutal reality.
And now I think that's very well said. And lastly, Sophie, another European royal is planning a move to the US. Elizabeth of Belgium, is she going to do it differently and better? I've got about 30 seconds for you.
Well, I don't know if she's going to get the media coverage, that Meghan Markle has got, but let's see how she does go moving to the US. She's only 22, she's very young, she's a future queen, but all eyes will be on her. She's very elegant, very intelligent, and I think people will be very interested to see how she handles her move to the US.
Absolutely, Sophie, and hopefully she learns some lessons from the past.